That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Trade Talk, and we conclude our journey through the Dan Slott, Mike Allred Silver Surfer run with the final volume, A Power Greater Than Cosmic. I really hope I got the title right. So this is the last 7 issues of the series, and it is a pretty big emotional journey as you go through this. We start off with issue 7, where the Surfer is taking Dawn to safe planets. First, he takes her to a planet where he just throws her off the surfboard and she bounces. It's the trampoline planet. Then he takes her to the planet of kittens and puppies and bunnies, and the cotton candy planet, then the ball pit planet. But at the ball pit planet, the aliens get picked up by their parents. It's not the ball pit planet, it's the daycare planet, and she's really mad that he's been taking her to places where she'll be safe because he's treating her like a child. And so he's like, all right, fine, we'll go. And he's like, I'll show you risks you could never imagine. Yeah, well, take your best shot, Rad. And like as that happens, we get this look at this character that we really haven't seen too much of. Just kind of loosely transparent, floating in the background there. And he says, "You made the wrong choice. I've been watching the two of you for such a long time now. This path will lead to nothing but heartbreak." And so the Surfer takes them, though, to a casino. The Galaxy's the Casino Cosmico. That's a fun one, where anything is up for bets. I particularly like this moment where Mephisto bets someone a golden fiddle, and the guy's got 8 arms, or no, 6 arms. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 8 arms. And so he plays 4 fiddles at once and wins. That's pretty good. Anyway, so like anything is up for bets here. Surfer even makes himself gold, which is kind of ridiculous. And eventually they get in too deep. The Surfer bets something he really shouldn't have. And ended up betting the board, which is not good. He does not treat the board right, god damn it. So Dawn, in order to win the board back, bets herself, or a physical part of herself, and she loses that bet, so she loses the ability to see the color red, and the Surfer loses the ability to use the letter B, which is actually used to great comedic effect. But then, and with the chance to win it all back, the Surfer plays poker against this guy. I forget what they named him. Indwe Gast. The Grandmaster, okay. Oh! Jeff Goldblum's character. Ha. Anyway, so they begin a game of poker, and they keep betting back and forth, and eventually they have to keep raising the stakes more and more and more. And the Surfer raises the stakes to the ultimate level. The stakes are raised that Dawn is the bet. Your companion, she is faithful and serves you well. If I win this, she shall do the same for me. She is not mine to bargain with, Gast. She is her own. Norin, you can take him. With an infinite all-in, I believe I can, because you can't use the letter B. Then I believe too. Let's do it. Let's risk it all. We accept. Very well. Then what is your wager? Games. I don't understand. What does that even mean? Games. You have the stronger hand here, Gast. If I win, you forfeit the right to play any more games of chance. Those are the stakes. As an elder of the universe, you will live till the end of time and never place a single wager again. Do you accept? I fold. He can't take the pressure of maybe losing that bet. That's too much. And so they win everything back and they go off for more adventures. You know why you won, right? Because in the greatest game, the one of life, Gast wasn't ready to risk it all, but we were. And then we see the mysterious stranger floating in the distance, and he says, "You poor fools, what a terrible lesson you've learned. You two have everything to lose, you just don't know it yet." And then they go to a planet of dinosaurs that are constantly evolving. Next issue takes place inside the belly of a whale, where they have to tell stories about a small companion that they had. I don't think they're real stories. I think they're just making stuff up, but that's kind of the charm of it. It doesn't really matter. And it's a nice, sweet little issue. It just kind of gives the series a sense of scope. You know, reading the omnibus, this series felt like it was going for, decades when it barely ran 4 years. So that's just kind of crazy when you think about it. But it's a pretty good issue. Fun. I got into it. It's a really good story. And then that kind of leads into where the series is going as Norrin and Dawn take off. We see Eternity and the Never Queen. And Eternity says, "Swallowed by a space whale, an amusing diversion, Never Queen. Tell me another." And the Never Queen says, "Of the Surfer and Dawn? Perhaps you should wait and savor them, Eternity." "Why?" "Because, my love, you're big enough to know that eventually all stories come to an end." And it's like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Because we're reaching the end of the series. Silver Surfer number 9 is called Shadows in the City of Light, in which the Surfer and Dawn visit a planet of holograms. And that's kind of the novelty. It gets a little crazy when Dawn is turned into a hologram, and they're about to dispose of her body. They manage to save her at the last minute. But the mysterious stranger was there, and he's now corporeal, and he's getting some canisters from this hologram society. Anyway, they save her, save the day, all is well. Hologram Dawn exists as separate from physical Dawn, so Hologram Dawn stays on the planet to live out a life all her own. What that'll be like, who knows? And the Surfer takes off, and they go on another adventure. We get to Bound for Eternity, that has a pretty shocking opening as Dawn and Norrin are just hanging out, but then we see Giant Mouth say, "To me, my herald," and then Surfer just takes off like a rocket, like a man possessed. He doesn't even realize it. And he ends up in front of Galactus, but Galactus has changed. This is one of the few events in this series that takes place, this series is so off just doing its own thing that sometimes it's surprising to learn that it's in continuity with mainline Marvel. It's so not like, it's so, it's a Galaxy Adventure book. It has so little to do with anything mainline Marvel. That when you get to Galactus is a good guy now, you gotta remember, oh yeah, that's the thing that happened. "I am no longer the devourer you once knew. Now I stand before you as Galactus, the bringer of life." Peace, Nornrad, there is no time. Yes, I summoned you. Reality is in peril, and I need your help to save it. So he's not going to eat us or any planets? It would appear not. But I must know, what has brought my former master to this new state? Earthlings. Of course. Powerful beings, the ultimates, forced me back inside my incubus cell. The same conveyance which first brought me to this universe from the one before. I emerged from that cosmic crucible, transformed, evolved into this, my final form. This isn't even my final form. The Lifebringer. It happened in Ultimates number 2. Tom. I appreciate that. Actually wasn't needed. Got everything I needed just from that. It's no mere title, Nornrad. My hunger is gone, and in its place is a need to seed life into new worlds, to protect all of creation. As I do, even now, behold, bear witness to the final destruction I keep at bay. By the unfolding nebula! Can it be? The Alflex and the Omegaron! The and the what? You guys are just making up words now. This is serious, Dawn. You need to understand. At the beginning of time, all potential matter and energy was contained inside one single perfect object, the Alpha/Omega, and Galactus needs them to take these two pieces of reality that if they touch again, the universe will end, eternity will cease, to the opposite sides of the universe. So they do. Norrin takes one piece, and Dawn with the board takes the other, and they fly off to opposite ends of the universe at unbelievable, incomprehensible speeds using wormholes, so that they can wedge them. But Galactus can only keep the portals open for so long, and then his power is spent stranding the two of them on opposite sides of reality. And I love the way Allred panels this out. That's so good. I don't know if it's... Maybe it's Allred, maybe it's Slott that thought to panel it that way. I don't know, but that's just so perfect. This just endless white void between the two of them. You know, stranded on opposite sides of reality. And then the Surfer realizes, how hopeless this is. My cosmic senses span light years of space, and yet even they can detect no trace of Dawn. If she is on the other side of creation, with her mortal lifespan, I'll never see her again. This isn't right. Together we have done so much for the entire universe, for eternity. Eternity! We have returned the heart of your beloved, doubled your lifespan. I have lost count of how many times I have saved you. And I have never asked for anything in return. Well, this once I am. I will not go on without her. Do you hear me, Eternity? You owe me! That's so perfect. I love it. It's great. And then we just get this... I love the panel here. As suddenly the panels start moving and getting closer together. Well, what's going on? Great galaxies. What now? How is this happening? It defies all logic. This is impossible. Cosmic Marvel is so fucking weird. Eternity's a guy. You gotta remember that. And so he's putting his fingers together to bring the Surfer and Dawn together. And Eternity says, just this once, Nornrad. That's so perfect. As they're brought together and embrace. Just absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. The next issue 11, Zero Sum Game. We get a peek at what's been going on at the Greenwood Inn back on Earth. It's crazy busy because of what happened in the last story arc. When suddenly, Eve, Dawn's twin sister, her water breaks, and they have to rush her to the hospital. Dawn, being a twin, of course, has that mental connection with her sister that's totally scientifically accurate, and knows, oh crap, we got to get back to Earth. We've missed the we're gonna miss the birth, and so the Surfer has to oh, okay, just 1 minute. We just got to do this thing first, and they finish fighting off some evil evil bears trying to steal honey from this alien hive. That's adorable. Anyway, so then they try to go home, but then they're stopped by Warrior Zero, who was previously Warrior One from an earlier story arc. And so the Surfer tries to just, run away from him and leave him alone. But then he shows back up and starts fighting the Surfer again because he wants this battle. And the Surfer's like, all right, fine, and fakes dead so that he'll leave them alone. And then he comes back and is like, no, I really want this battle. And so then Dawn looks at him and she says, kick his ass. I've tried diplomacy, giving you wide breath and feigned defeat, Warrior Zero, for all for the sake of your honor. You have left me no choice. Yes. Now, bring it. Give me your best shot, as you wish. Wham! Great panel. I love the way that looks. That's so cool, the lighting effect that is done there. Once and for all, we are finished. Or are we finished here? Yes, forevermore. This Warrior Zero is just completely decimated in an instant by the Silver Surfer. So then they get back home finally. This next part hurts. And they see Eve and their niece. But then they wonder where her dad is. And if the black frame around the panel and the fact that everyone's wearing black didn't, alert you, issue number 12, Return to Euphoria. We'll see Dawn on the planet Euphoria, which is a sentient planet with the desire to please everyone. She's hanging out with her dad and all the other aliens. And then she gets kind of dragged off to go play with kids, and then her dad reforms back into the personification of the planet. Then we cut back in time. And we find out how her dad died in the hospital. He only got to be a grandfather for a very short time, and she and Eve began to fight because Dawn left without a word last time she was on Earth. And they had no way to tell when she was going to be back, so they did the funeral and spread the ashes without her. So Dawn decided she needed to go to Euphoria to try to work through some of her grief at the loss of her father, and especially at the not being there. So this was the first issue of the series I'd read. When this omnibus got announced, I was trying to collect the entire series in trade, and then I decided to wait until the omnibus. But the reason I wanted the whole series was because I read this issue and the rest of the series, which is, nothing compared to the breadth of what we got. But more so than that, to get really personal, it's 2019 now. My father died in July of 2013. At the time, I was actually supposed to be up in Michigan around him because I went to go visit every other weekend. But I couldn't that weekend because I had a surgery I had to be prepared for, and because he was, dying of cancer, it wasn't safe for me to be around him in case I could pick up an infection. right before surgery. And then I got the call about it happening. We were having a nurse go check on him every other day. And so they took him to the hospital, and he was gone a couple hours later. And I had to hear about it over a phone. And so Dawn's experience here with having to learn about her father's death in retrospect, so far away from it, and the trauma that creates for her, that she just so immediately breaks and needs kind of an escape from reality in order to have time to process and deal with it, just instantly made me relate to this character so heavily and made me want to read the entirety of the series, and I'm really glad I did, because I find Dawn to be just one of the most human characters in comics. So anyways, she's on Euphoria as a kind of therapy for dealing with the loss of her father. And at one point, toward the end of the issue, she's been there for about 2 months. By the time we get to the end of the issue, one of the survivors of the attacks of Galactus on Euphoria asks Dawn to come with her and talk with her for a night. And that leads to like a whole thing with Euphoria, the planet wanting to go comfort her, but Norrin refusing to let it, saying that Dawn needs to be able to deal with this on her own, and it kind of leads to a big epic fight that it's really fun to look at, and it's cool drawing. But this speech that that gets given is it's just so good. So I'm just going to read this entire conversation between Dawn and this woman on Euphoria. Feeling better, dear. I'm on Euphoria. It's impossible not to feel better here. I just wish... What, Dawn? It's okay. You can tell me anything. I just wish the universe made sense. It does. Trust me. I'm on the hub. I know all its secrets. Alright. Explain this. There's this thing the surfer always says. The universe is infinite and ever expanding. Well, which is it? It can't be both. Why not? That's the nature of space. It's like a parent's love for their child. Before you're born, your parents' love for you is infinite. And from the moment you enter the world, their love for you expands. It grows every day. That's how I feel about my dad. No, dear. A child's love for their parent, that's the nature of time. It is both ageless and never-ending. The love you have for them was there from the moment you began, and even when they are no longer with you, your love for them goes on and on. Their love for you, your love, they're with you always and forever. Do you feel that? Yes, it hurts right now, but it's a hurt you're lucky to have. And someday, if you're very lucky, you'll know the greatest secret. A shared love that is both infinite and ever-expanding and ageless and never-ending. And they will be your space and your time. They will be your universe. That one, as you may be able to tell, hits me in a very particular place. I have trouble reading that because of how damn perfect I think it is. It's a fantastic story. It's a fantastic moment. Um, I get very emotional reading that issue. It's really good. Surfer talks to Dawn, and she decides that she's ready to go. She's ready to go exploring again. And then we get the final 2 issues. Dawn and the Surfer decide that even though Dawn's even though Dawn's ready to leave Euphoria, she does ask for one more thing. And I can't say I wouldn't feel the same way. I've always had a bit of a fascination with the idea of time travel and just always wanting to go back. And that's kind of, there's a whole psychologist rant to do there about what regret means to me. But she asked the Surfer if they can travel back in time so she can see her dad one last time. And the Surfer knows it's risky, knows it's stupid, and he does it anyway. But it can't be helped. They go, and it's uncontrollable. They can't do anything to stop it. I really love, just structurally speaking, how they experience traveling in time, because they go back and just relive the exact moment they were at. And then they take off, and they can't control it, they can't stop, they can't slow down. And they keep going and going and going further and further back in time until they go back, incidentally, to the beginning of the universe, the Big Bang. And then they go past that. They go to the universe before. And the Surfer immediately recognizes this person that's coming down toward them in this crater they've landed in the universe before theirs. And so he transforms himself in Dawn so that they will not be recognized or remembered. Because the person that is there is the man that will become Galactus. And the Surfer can tell that this universe only has about a century left, give or take. And that there's no way they're ever going to get home. They're stuck there until the end of this universe. And so they go exploring the entire universe for the rest of their lives. On our 12th summer at her favorite cafe, I proposed. She said yes. They grow old together. When they get too old to go adventuring, they build a house on a lake. And they go see the stars every night. I really love this moment where, even though Norn had been aging with her, she kind of calls him on it. I know what you've been doing. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not stupid. You've been using your power cosmic, each day, every day, all these years, to grow old with me, one day at a time. What? Nonsense, why? Nice try. But I'd like you to stop it now. Please. No more illusions. He stops and goes back to himself, as he always has been, young. There you are, Norn Rad. Earth Girl. Spaceman. Dawn, I have to know. Since we knew this universe wouldn't last, we decided not to have children. Do you? No, tell me. Home, family. These things mean so much to you. Never saw yours again. Never went home. Be honest. Do you have any regrets? She looks at him and she says, I I wouldn't change a thing. What? Oh my god, Mike Allred and Dan Slott are just killing me with the end of this series. It's so good. I feel bad when I go like this in depth in a review. At this point, it's not even a review. It's just me gushing over how much I absolutely adore this series and how perfect I think it is. But when you get a page turn like that, it just... everything wells up in you. And it's so damn impactful. In any case, the surfer buries Dawn and sees that the universe they're in is ending, so he heads off to follow Galactus's incubus cell into the new universe. And he atomizes Dawn's body and takes her essence with him back home. And we end the series with the variant cover of a recolor of the Jack Kirby image of the surfer. Yeah, that's a good choice. And they... is that 13 or 14? Yeah, 14. Okay. They head off, and the surfer, as he enters the new universe, the Big Bang, says, "Hold on, Dawn, and together we shall ride out this cosmic storm. One last adventure. We must cleave to Galactus's mighty craft as his universe ends, and ours begins. The great act is done, and I have kept my word. We are home. Though this is the end of our story, Dawn, know this. I'll never forget you." So he shoots her atoms back off into her home universe. And then we realize he's been telling a story to an unknown group. And he stops and says, I want you to know there's no trickery, there's no cleverness on my part. This is truly the end of Dawn's and my story. Do you still want to hear the rest? And they say yes. And so once he's in this universe, he reassumes the form that he used to fool the man who would become Galactus and shifts out of phase with reality so that he may become an observer of the universe until it is his time to be back where he should have been before he can return as the surfer. And he pretty much observes all of the universe until he decides to spend some time on Earth and periodically watch Dawn grow, coming to the Greenwood Inn every summer to just see a little piece of their reality. Go back to the very beginning of the volume. This is the advantage of Omnibus, by the way. It's always too perfect when you can luck out with that. Did they set that up from the very beginning? The answer appears to be no. Okay, I was curious. It's hard to tell sometimes. So that's just a clever little sneak in that Slott put in after the fact. Just wondering if you see him anywhere in the series here. I know he starts to show up eventually, but I just don't know exactly where in the series. Anyway, Mr. Norville, as he calls himself, begins to visit Dawn and her family once a year, just for that chance to spend a little bit more time with her. And he brings a device to take some pictures, but they're not really pictures. And he goes off and eventually returns to the planet of the holograms. Why? So he can bring hologram Dawn her family back, including a version of himself, so that they can have a life together too. And then the series ends on a pretty great note. Surfer, what about you? You're Dawn, the corporeal one. She's gone. You'll be alone again. Yes and no. Part of her is still with me. With all of us. For you see, when I fired off that bolt of energy at the start of creation, it became the first light in the universe, forever echoing throughout all of time, and on every world in existence as endless forms of life evolved and made their way out of the dark. They all shared one thing in common. Their first sight, the break of day, and they all knew to give it the same name, Dawn. In every alien tongue it remains the same. Dawn, 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 dawn. And across the entire cosmos. It's been that way since the beginning, since the dawn of time. And as long as the suns rise, she will never be forgotten. Now, if you'll excuse me, my work is done. I should be going. And he's off. At the start of time, as the universe was still forming, still in flux, he made a choice. Like a young lover carving his sweetheart's initials into a tree, he chose the energy signature for the power cosmic. And he dedicated it to her. Red and black. I will never forget you. The universe beckons. Come, let's see some new stars. That is the power that will forever flow through him. The love and memory of her. A power greater than cosmic. Just wow. Very emotional read, very fun read, very fantastic read. Absolutely gorgeous to look at. Really do gotta say, this is a fantastic run in comics. I'm not much of a Marvel guy, but this is good. This is great. If anyone ever tells you, hey, yeah, comics, they don't really, like, they can be fun and all, but they can't really get to, deeper human emotions and stuff. Fuck off. This shit gets me, man. Anyway, that's going to do it for Trade Talk. Everyone, thanks for suffering through me crying and ranting and raving about how great a series I thought this was. Really am glad I picked up the whole run. Will heavily recommend the omnibus. It's not too ridiculous. You can actually read it and actually look at the art, and the splash pages don't get lost in themselves because of how thick it is. And it's great to just have it all in one place. And it's actually really affordable for an omnibus. I think it's like less than $100. Anyway, that'll do it for Trade Talk. Everyone, thanks for watching. Bye.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.